Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive? You sent us some super interesting stuff about cybersecurity, and we're going to break it all down.
Yeah, it looks like it comes from a podcast episode called Cybersecurity Unlocked, From Beginner to Expert.
Perfect. So we'll take all that, and in just a few minutes, we're going to get you up to speed on this whole world.
You know, what's really cool about this episode is how it really emphasizes that cybersecurity is for everyone.
Right, it's not just for like big companies and the government.
Exactly. It affects all of us in our everyday lives. It's about protecting ourselves online.
Okay, I'm with you. Cybersecurity is definitely important, but where do you even begin? It's a little overwhelming.
Well, this episode actually gives us a pretty clear path, like a roadmap to becoming a cybersecurity pro, kind of.
Okay, I like that. A roadmap.
Yeah, and it all starts with the fundamentals, like the building blocks you need to understand how things work online. And honestly, just knowing those basics, it can give you a huge advantage in protecting yourself.
Okay, so break it down for me. What kind of building blocks are we talking about?
It starts with networking. Think of it like you wouldn't drive a car without knowing the basic rules of the road, right?
Right.
Same with the internet. So learning about IP addresses and protocols like TCP/IP, HTTP, HTTCS, it's like learning the traffic signals of the digital highway.
Okay, I see the connection, but how does that actually help me knowing all this stuff about protocols?
So understanding how data travels on the internet helps you spot those red flags. For example, when you see HTTPS in a website address, that tells you your connection is encrypted, so your data is more secure. But if it's just HTTP, that's like sending a postcard out in the open for anyone to read.
Wow, I never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
What else is on this cybersecurity fundamentals checklist?
Next up, operating systems. You've probably heard of Windows, Linux, Mac OS.
Sure.
This episode, it highlights Linux as a favorite among cybersecurity pros because a lot of security tools are built on it. It's kind of like learning the language that a lot of security experts speak.
Oh, interesting, like peeking behind the curtain to see how the pros do it.
Exactly.
So what about the actual threats? How do I learn to recognize those bad guys online?
Yeah, so the episode goes into a bunch of different types of threats, like malware. Think of that like the common cold of the internet.
Okay, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. One, it can cause all sorts of problems. Then you got phishing, where attackers try to trick you into giving away your passwords and your financial info. And then there's things like brute force attacks, where hackers basically just try to guess your password over and over until they get it right.
Okay, that last one sounds scary, but also kind of dumb. Do hackers really just randomly guess passwords?
Yeah, they do, but not exactly randomly. They use programs that try thousands, even millions of combinations in like a second. That's why having a strong password is so important.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm changing all my passwords to something super complicated right after we're done here.
Good, good.
What else can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, this episode really stresses basic cyber hygiene. Think of it like washing your hands, but for the digital world.
Okay, I like that.
It's things like using strong passwords, unique passwords for every account, enabling two-factor authentication, and just like being careful about clicking on links and emails from people you don't know.
Yeah, okay, those are all things I can do, I can start doing today. That makes cybersecurity feel a little less overwhelming.
See, that's the thing. And there are tons of free resources out there to help you get started. You've got websites like Coursera and Udemy. They offer these online courses. YouTube has millions of tutorials.
So I don't have to enroll in some crazy expensive program to learn.
No. You can dive in right now and start building your knowledge. It's free.
That's awesome. Okay, so we've built the foundation, the fundamentals. What's the next step? What's the next level in our cybersecurity journey? Do we get a secret handshake or something?
Maybe not a secret handshake, but it does get a little more hands-on. They call this intermediate cybersecurity, and this is where you start putting those skills to work.
Okay, tell me more. Tell me more about this hands-on stuff.
So they introduced this concept of penetration testing, which is also known as ethical hacking. It's like being a cybersecurity detective. You learn to think like a hacker so you can find those vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
Hold on. Are you saying it's okay to, like, hack into systems? That sounds a little illegal.
Well, that's where the ethical part comes in. Ethical hackers, they have permission to test these systems, find the weaknesses so they can be fixed.
Okay, so it's like a security audit, but way more exciting.
Way more exciting, yeah. And to do that, you need to understand the tools that hackers use. They talk about Kali Linux, which is a special operating system designed for penetration testing.
Kali Linux sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, right?
Why is it so popular?
It comes preloaded with a ton of tools that ethical hackers use to test systems.
Right.
One of those tools is Metasploit, which is a framework for simulating different types of attacks. It's like a virtual testing ground where you can safely practice your hacking skills.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to, like, accidentally cause a major meltdown somewhere.
Exactly.
What about Wireshark? I've heard of that.
Wireshark is like a network traffic sniffer. It allows you to see all the data that's being sent and received across a network so you can identify suspicious activity.
So it's like having X-ray vision into your network.
Exactly. And it helps you identify those potential breaches.
This is starting to sound pretty technical. Do I need to be a coding genius to get to this, like, intermediate level?
Having some programming skills is definitely helpful, but it's not a total requirement. Knowing a language like Python can help you, like, automate tasks and analyze data.
Python. That's what they use to program self-driving cars, right?
It is. It's very versatile.
So learning Python is a good investment, even if I don't end up doing cybersecurity as a career.
Absolutely. It's a very valuable skill to have these days.
Okay, so Python, I'm adding that to my to-do list. What else is there in this intermediate level? What else do I need to know?
Well, this is where you start learning about security frameworks and best practices. It's like learning the rules of the game for cybersecurity. They mention NIST, ISO 27000 known, OWASP. These are all organizations that develop guidelines for building secure systems.
Okay, so it's like a playbook for cybersecurity, showing you how to do things the right way.
Exactly. And then to make things more fun, you have these things called CTF challenges. It stands for Capture the Flag.
CTF challenges. Okay, that sounds intense. What's that about?
So there are these online competitions where you put your cybersecurity skills to the test in like real-world scenarios. There are platforms like Hack the Box and Try Hack Me that give you a safe and legal environment to like practice hacking into simulated systems.
It's like a video game for cybersecurity.
Yeah, basically, it's a really fun and engaging way to like practice your skills, learn new techniques, and compete with others in the community.
Wait, so you're saying there are websites where I can hack into things and not get in trouble?
Yes.
Sign me up.
It's a lot of fun. And it's the best way to learn by doing it.
Okay, I'm in. Anything else I should know about this intermediate level?
One more thing. They suggest setting up a home lab. That's essentially a virtual environment where you can experiment with tools and techniques without risking any damage to your actual computer.
So a cybersecurity sandbox where I can play around?
Exactly. It's a great way to get experience and build your confidence.
Okay, this is awesome. It feels like we're on a real cybersecurity adventure, learning all these skills and cool techniques.
It is an adventure, and it's just the beginning. We've covered the basics and dipped our toes into intermediate.
What's next? What awaits us at the top of this cybersecurity mountain?
That's where we get into the advanced world of cybersecurity. But we'll save that for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, you've got me on the edge of my seat. But before we move on, what really stood out to you about these first two stages, like the fundamentals and intermediate level?
I think the most interesting thing is how the episode really makes it clear that anyone can get started. You don't have to be a tech genius or anything.
I like that.
You can learn these skills and protect yourself.
That's encouraging. It makes me want to jump right in and start exploring.
That's the spirit. Cybersecurity is always changing, which means there's always something new to learn.
I can't wait to see what this adventure has in store next. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into the world of cybersecurity unlocked. Okay, we're back, and I'm ready to climb to the top of that cybersecurity mountain. What's waiting for us at those advanced levels?
Well, think of it this way. You've mastered the basics, you've got some hands-on experience under your belt. Now you're stepping into the world of specialization.
Oh, okay, specialization. So are we talking like secret government agencies and stopping global cyber attacks?
Maybe not that dramatic, but you're on the right track. This is where you really start focusing on specific areas of cybersecurity that, fit your interests and your career goals.
Okay, so less lone wolf hacker and more like joining a team of specialists.
Exactly. And this Cybersecurity Unlocked episode, it does a great job of highlighting some of those in-demand areas, like cloud security.
Cloud security. What is that? Just like making sure my photos are backed up on Google Drive?
Well, that's part of it, but it's much bigger than that. Think about it. Businesses, governments, they're moving their entire operations to the cloud. We're talking massive amounts of data, critical applications. Everything is running on these complex cloud platforms.
Okay, yeah, so it sounds way more important than just backing up my vacation photos.
Right, and that's why cloud security specialists are in such high demand. They're the ones building those digital fortresses around these environments, making sure all that data is protected.
So how do you even become a cloud security expert? Is it all about like configuring firewalls in the sky or something?
Firewalls are part of it, for sure, but it's way more than that. You've got things like identity and access management, making sure only the right people have access to the right data.
Makes sense. You don't
Yeah.
want just anyone snooping around your company's files.
Exactly. And then you have data encryption. So even if someone gets in, they can't read the data.
Wow. So you have to be like a master of technology and strategy.
Absolutely. They have to think ahead, design secure systems, and constantly adapt because cloud computing is always changing.
So it's like a never-ending game of chess against some super smart hackers.
Yeah, you could say that. And just like in chess, you have to be thinking several steps ahead to stay ahead of the game.
This is definitely not your grandma's cybersecurity.
Not at all. And cloud security, that's just one piece of the puzzle. Another really cool area they talk about is malware analysis.
Malware analysis. Honestly, that sounds kind of creepy. What's that all about?
Imagine you're a detective, but instead of a crime scene, you're investigating a piece of malicious code. That's basically what a malware analyst does.
So they're like digital forensic scientists.
Exactly. They take those nasty programs, the viruses, the worms, the ransomware, and they break them down line by line to understand how they work, how they spread, and most importantly, how to stop them.
That sounds so challenging. You have to be like a coding genius to do that, right?
It helps to have a strong understanding of programming languages, for sure. They need to be able to read and understand code, often in assembly language, which is like the computer's native tongue.
Wow. They're speaking the computer's language.
Exactly. And they use these specialized tools to reverse engineer the malware, like taking it apart piece by piece.
So it's like solving a puzzle, except this puzzle could, like, destroy your computer.
Right. High stakes. But these malware analysts, they're essential in keeping our digital world safe.
It's kind of amazing, right, that there are people out there who are, like, fighting these digital threats every day.
It's pretty cool. And that brings us to another fun part of advanced cybersecurity, the red team versus blue team dynamic.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from before. It's like a cyber battle, right?
Yeah, you could say that, remember? Red teams are the attackers, blue teams are the defenders.
So red team, bad guys, blue team, good guys.
Not quite. It's more like the red team are the good guys, but they play the role of the bad guys to help organizations.
So they attack the system to see how strong it is.
Exactly. They use the same tactics as real attackers, but their goal is to find the weaknesses so the blue team can fix them.
And the blue team, what do they do?
They're the protectors. They're monitoring, analyzing, they implement security, and they're the ones who respond to any incidents.
So they're like the first responders of the cyber world.
Exactly.
Honestly, if I had to choose, I'd probably want to be on the red team. Sounds a little more exciting.
I get that. Red teaming, it definitely involves more creativity, thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
But blue teaming is equally important, and it requires a deep understanding of security tech and how to respond when things go wrong.
So red team is strategy, blue team is more tactical.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They both need to work together to make a system really secure.
Sounds like you'd never be bored working in cybersecurity.
Not at all. It's fast-paced, always changing, always learning.
I wonder, though, is there ever really a winner in this whole red team versus blue team thing?
That's a great question, and it's something that cybersecurity experts are always thinking about. But there's not really a finish line. It's all about continuous improvement, and both teams play a critical role.
So it's like a constant back and forth, always trying to improve your defenses.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered cloud security, malware analysis, and this whole red team versus blue team battle. Which one stood out to you the most?
You know what's interesting is how all these different areas, they're all connected. It's not just about one skill or one specialty. It's about understanding how they all work together.
Yeah, like each one is a piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. That's what makes cybersecurity so fascinating. It's complex and always changing.
I definitely want to learn more about all this stuff. But for now, I think it's time to move on to the final takeaway from Cybersecurity Unlocked.
Sounds good. Let's see what they recommend for our listeners.
Okay, we've climbed that cybersecurity mountain, learned about all kinds of specializations. Now I'm really curious what the final takeaway is from this Cybersecurity Unlocked episode. Like, what's the big message for our listeners?
With all the technical stuff and different areas of cybersecurity, the episode really comes back to this idea of continuous learning.
Yeah, that makes sense. Technology is always changing, so I guess the threats are always changing too.
Exactly. It's like you never really reach the finish line in cybersecurity. You're always learning, always challenging yourself, always staying ahead of the curve.
So it's more like enjoying the journey, right? Not just trying to get to the top of the mountain.
Yeah, I like that. Because it's not just about protecting systems. It's about always learning, solving problems, getting better at what you do.
So for someone just starting out, how do you actually stay ahead in a field that's constantly changing?
Well, the episode talks about the importance of community. Connecting with other cybersecurity people, whether it's online or in person, it really helps. You get exposed to new ideas, different ways of thinking.
Like having a network of mentors and collaborators.
Exactly. And the cybersecurity community is so welcoming, People are really passionate about sharing what they know.
That's cool. It makes me
Yeah.
want to get out there and start meeting some of those people. But I have to be honest, it's still a little intimidating, all this stuff. Where do I even begin?
The episode gives some pretty solid advice. Start small, be consistent, and focus on what interests you. Don't try to learn everything at once. Pick one area, like ethical hacking or cloud security, and start there. There are so many free resources online, too. Blog posts, YouTube videos, courses.
So find that one thing that grabs your attention and use that as a starting point.
Yeah, exactly. And once you start learning, get some hands-on experience. Set up that home lab, try out different tools, do those CTF challenges. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel.
It's like anything, the more you do it, the better you get.
Yeah.
But how do you stay motivated? It seems like you could get discouraged easily in this field.
That's where the community comes in again. Find people who are as passionate about cybersecurity as you are. You can share your struggles, celebrate your wins, learn from each other.
So having a support system is key. People who get it.
Yeah, exactly. And every step you take, every new thing you learn, it's a win. Cybersecurity is a marathon, not a sprint.
Love that. Okay, well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into cybersecurity unlocked. I feel like I've learned so much. What about you?
Me too. It's been a really interesting journey.
Before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. Out of everything we've talked about, what sparked your interest? What are you curious about? And what's one small step you can take today to explore that further?
That's a great question. Cybersecurity is this huge, constantly evolving field, and there's so much to discover.
So go out there, explore, experiment. You don't have to be a superhero to make a difference in the digital world. Even small things can make a big impact.
Absolutely. It's been great talking about all this with you. Same here. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of cybersecurity. We hope you've learned a lot, and maybe you even feel inspired to learn more.
Stay curious, stay safe, and keep unlocking those cybersecurity secrets.
Until next time.